I got some great news. I just looked out to the mailbox and I see something that was delivered. Zoom in here. That looks like a big box. That looks like my Sp140 electric paramotor. Let's go get it. I ordered this back in June 2021. Supposed to be delivered in August, then the delays happened. Apparently the harnesses weren't coming in. So it got pushed to October. Then it got pushed to November. Then it's just been all over the place. I actually got the battery last week or 2 weeks ago, and that's just been sitting in my garage and we're waiting for the unit. So now it is here. And if you can't tell, I am so excited. Electric. I don't know if that's the future of paramotors. Some of you will argue it's not. Obviously battery technology is still something we need to work on because that's the holdup. The battery I got is the bigger 4 kilowatt battery, which is supposed to give us 45 minutes to an hour of flight time. Of course, it's all subjective on what you're flying, where you're flying, how high you're flying, how much throttle you use, but it gives us a good average anyway. So let's go get this box, get it loaded up. Here it is in the garage. Box actually looks pretty good. Let me do you a quick. The box looks really good. I'm surprised there's not any labels on there saying, you know, fragile, be careful. But yeah, condition of the box looks great. Well, unfortunately, I don't have the time to actually assemble this right now, but I'm too excited to just leave it in the box as it is. So I'm going to do the unboxing, kind of pull the things out, and then hopefully I'll have time this evening or definitely tomorrow morning to put it together. So let's take a look. Looks like we got our netting here wrapped up real nice. A lot of bubble wrap in this box, which is really awesome. Box of something here. Let's take a look quick what's in here. Oh, looks like our tools and materials for the prop. We'll save this. Stuff for the hoop. I'm glad I didn't try to rip that box open too hard and pull that paramotor up because the props were just kind of wrapped in there. So if you got props with yours, dig down deep before you start ripping stuff out of there. Wow, is this thing light? Look at this. Nice foam protective cover over the electric motor. I like seeing stuff like this. This might be a good thing to hold on to when I put it in the trailer or for storage if I ever travel with it. Nice casing for it. This thing is crazy how light it is. I think it's like 35 pounds somewhere in there. And look at, that's all there is to it. No big fuel tank. This is tiny little motor. That's what gets you up in the air. Amazing. It comes with this box as well. The box is made in China. See what's inside. This is what I was looking for when I got my battery, is it didn't come with a charger. And I had emailed them saying, was there's supposed to be a charger with it, and they said that'll come with the actual paramotor. So we've got a pretty nice heavy-duty charger here for that battery. So it gives you the specs on the front here. 96 volt, 10 amps, 90 to 130 volt is the AC range. So this just plugs into 110 volt outlet. I'm guessing at some point maybe they'll do something where you can charge a little bit faster from a 220, but at this point this is a decent charger. We'll get that plugged into the battery so that we can make sure our battery is at full capacity once we are ready to test this baby out. Let's do it. Now this is the battery that was shipped separate. This thing weighs as much as the entire Paramotor does. About 35, 38 pounds, something like that. It's definitely not light, but it's very well built. Plastic, it's got a aluminum cap on top. Let's get her plugged in. Okay. I'll just make sure we're getting the information. The charger has an opportunity to boot up. You can look, it's putting out 100.9 volts. Okay, let's get this battery plugged in. It does have a directional plug, so it's always going to go the correct way. And right off the bat, she's starting to charge. Sorry, the numbers are backwards on the charger, but you get the idea. So we'll keep that on for a little bit, and then we'll see what the total voltage is once it's fully charged. I'm pretty happy with how everything was packaged though. I would have liked to have seen the props a little bit more secured, as those could easily get nicked, but it doesn't look like there's any damage to this, so that's probably okay. The spars for the hoop look nice. Looks like a carbon fiber of some sort. And the hoop with the netting looks really good. They wrap that up nice and tight. So I have a feeling this thing is going to assemble pretty easily. There's not a whole lot to it. We don't have a gas tank to put on. We don't have to hook any fuel lines, any electrical lines. Basically, it's going to be get the spars on, get the hoop on, and put the prop on. Throw the battery in it. We should be good to go. So if I have time later today, I'm going to do that. If not, tomorrow for sure. But I'll give you a closer look at the unit. One thing I forgot to show was how they wrapped up the throttle. So it's all wired into the motor itself. Wrapped it up really good here. So let me get that unwrapped and then we'll take a closer look at the throttle. So this is it. Not a whole lot to it. This pole is like super sensitive. So that'll be interesting to see if that changes when the battery is plugged in or if that's just how light it is. Obviously it's got the display on the top, which won't power up until I get the battery hooked up. So very cool. We'll explore it a little bit more tomorrow. Yeah, there's a few tool marks on it. It's just plastic. Looks like it was maybe 3D printed, but if you look close you can see a couple tool marks. You could probably easily sand some of that stuff off. But yeah, pretty basic. Let's see how she works tomorrow. Okay, we are finally at the point of getting this thing put together. Rained all day yesterday, big thunderstorms came through. So today's the day. I'm not going to do a very thorough assembly of this. Paul, the owner of OpenPPG, has a really nice video on the website on how to put it together. So I just want to show you from a user's experience on how easy it is or how complicated it is. Looks like it shouldn't be too difficult. So let's get started. Now he said this process, the entire assembly process, was pretty basic from the beginning. So we're just going to see how easy it actually is. Now everything's hooked to the swing arms. There's not a whole lot to do here but screw them in. Basically the video says to hand tighten it, make sure everything looks good, and then we'll come down with our Allen key and socket. No torque settings, basically we hand tight, snug it up pretty good. Now we're going to put the spars on. If you look at the website, there's 3 different sizes. The medium size goes on top, the small goes on the side, and the large goes on the bottom. Okay, see how quick this is going? Now we're going to move on to the hoop assembly. Okay, probably the most complicated part of putting this together is untangling the netting. So, not too bad though. I think I'm going to verify the positioning. On the video it said medium up top, small on the side, and large on the bottom. Doesn't quite seem right now that I look at it, so let me take a closer look. Okay, I checked the website and I verified medium top, small sides, and large bottom. Got the net on. There's just a hook on the bottom. You hook that together, snug it up. Seems to fit pretty good. Okay, it's snugged down pretty good. There's a small gap on some of the spars. I feel like they're not the right length exactly, but I don't feel like this hoop is going to be nearly as strong as like on my Parajet Maverick. It's plastic. The spars, they don't seem like they were heavy duty, but hopefully we don't crash it and I don't have to worry about that. So. The next component are these little feet. Now I had to email them about this because it's not in the video, but these little feet apparently help to support the battery when it drops down. So, since there's no instruction, my guess is that they just go in those 2 holes there. Okay, we got the hoop up, we got the feet for the battery, we still need to put the prop on. I can see where getting the battery in when the props are on can be a little bit tricky. And for my situation, I don't plan on really taking the battery out. It'll basically stay in the paramotor most of the time, but I'm going to throw the battery in first and then we'll put the prop on. Now, one thing I found interesting is there's no strap to hold the battery in. Now, this thing is heavy and it's not just going to pop out on its own, but if it came in hard or flipped over or something, I don't know, it could probably pop out. So I'm going to fix a strap just to hold the top down. You got these braces on both sides, so we'll do a strap that just secures the battery down. I think that's probably a smart idea, just in case. All right, let's get that prop on. Now, of course, this just installs like any other prop. I prefer the 3-blade. I fly with the 3-blade on my Parajet. I like the added thrust it provides, so I got the 3-blade for this as well. Now, one thing I found interesting is there are no lock washers on these prop bolts. Now, maybe that's normal and mine is abnormal, but on my Parajet, for the Moster at least, it has a little lock washer for the prop. So, now what I do for prop bolts, just like how I bolt anything down, I don't pull out the torque wrench. I lightly tighten them. Just get them nice and snug. Star pattern, of course. Hopefully we all know that. Once all of them are snug, then I'll come back through and just give it a nice little tweak for each bolt. Here she is. That is about it there. Let me run through, make sure everything's hooked up correctly, do a double check on all my connections, the fittings to make sure we're good, and then we're going to get it out and start it up. Okay, I got my hang points set up pretty good. One thing I'm not a big fan of on this is the fact that if you look at the arms here, there's no slots like bolts to go through. There's no grooves to tell you exactly where you're at. It's hard to line up both sides, and basically the only way you can adjust your hang points is that little Allen key right there. It just clamps onto the bar, and not a huge fan of that. It makes it hard to line them both up. This doesn't feel super strong. I'm sure it is. I'm sure it can hold the weight of a pilot just fine. It just seems like it's not as heavy duty as I'm used to. You know, let's just take a look quick at the Parajet Maverick for a little comparison. So these are the arms on the Maverick, all aluminum. It's got holes here so you can set up your hang points nice and easy. I mean, this thing feels strong. Not something I would worry about while in flight. Well, this just seems a little bit, I mean, it's just a hollow tube. I'm guessing it's aluminum. So it took a little bit to get the hang points set exactly. I feel like it's pretty good now. So let me get this motor on my back and see what it feels like. Oh, another issue I ran into is these super long straps. I'm like, what is this long strap for? And I couldn't really figure it out. And then I realized it wasn't tied in at the base. So you have to actually go in and tie these straps in yourself at the base of the paramotor. So not a huge deal. I was just kind of confused at why these two long straps were hanging there. But other than that, let's test her out. Okay, with this thing on the back, doesn't feel too bad now that I got the harness adjusted right. It feels top heavy, which makes sense. It's got that giant battery. But as you can hear, it's beeping back there, so that means the battery's plugged in. I have not armed it yet. That takes a double tap. So yeah, it actually feels much better now. All right, I've armed it up. I'm in sport mode. I changed it out of chill mode just to try it out, so let's see. That's like half throttle. That's some pretty good thrust already. Wow. That is definitely more thrust than the than the Moster 185. I was at about 3/4 throttle. That's probably about where the Moster lines up. And this thing still had room to go. I was afraid to go full throttle leaning back. Let me set the camera up. I'll take a closer look here. Okay. That is pretty crazy. That is some nice thrust. Now I weigh about 205 pounds. That's a lot of weight it's holding up. Let's try it again here. Wow, that is absolutely crazy. I remember when I was doing my training, you know, the little guys, the 150, 160 pound guys, could literally lay almost all the way back and the Moster would keep them up. I can't do that. I can lean back at a pretty decent angle, but not that angle. Man, I wish conditions were a little better. I'd love to take this out tonight. She's set up though, and she's ready for the first flight. Well, I definitely... So you got to remember to double tap it to deactivate it, because this trigger is like super sensitive. You definitely wouldn't want to accidentally hit that. So, all right, I'm feeling pretty good about it now. Cross your fingers for some good weather so we can get out and try.